Hi, my name is Dr. Wendy Talley, and I hail all the way from Los Angeles, California. I am your corporate wellness expert, and I specialize in working with Fortune 100 and 500 companies. I work well with organizations helping to improve their workplace environment and their culture, improve their employees' mental health and well-being, and I also help drive up those profits. This is exactly what we want, right? So I help organizations, their leaders, to become better leaders, to become better EQ leaders through training and through executive coaching. I also work with leaders to be able to work with various different generations as our workplace is growing and maturing and having all generations work together. I work with organizations to develop coaching and mentoring programs that will effectively be able to push the next generation into effective leadership. And what about those profits? Absolutely. Those profits means better retention rates. That also means that you are going to have a place where people want to work. And ultimately, and let's not forget that our profits are not only our revenue, but it's the customers that we serve, it's the community where we thrive in, and it's also our staff that we work with. So here, where you work with me, Dr. Wendy Talley, you get the best of the best. And my 20 plus years is my superpower, where I bring together mental health and corporate America married together, living in harmony. I'll never forget that moment. Wow, in high school, I was getting ready to be part of my next transition in life. I was in my senior year, and all of my friends, all we talked about was going to college and meeting cute boys and getting numbers and all these types of things. We talked about the different doctors and lawyers and famous movie stars we all wanted to be. We even talked about joining fraternities and sororities. You name it, we talked about it. And all I could think about was just making my mother proud. See, my father had passed away not too long before that. He passed away in January of 1991. And see, that was my year of my senior year. And so during that time, all I could think about was just making him proud, making her proud, that their baby girl of 12 kids was going to go to college. But for whatever reason, I don't know why, but see, I had a college counselor that didn't believe in me. See, prior to that, being part of a big family, we loved each other. We were always connected. But I was that little tiny baby that just didn't really fully develop. The story that everyone tells me in my family is that when my mother was giving birth to me, she was giving birth to me during her menopausal stage. And that was a scary time. And unfortunately, me being born with my twin brother, as you can see, I'm sitting here, and I represent the both of us. And so as the doctors breathed breath into my body and said, "You are going to live," I cried and I came to life. My mother, she was still out of it. But they brought me back to life. But during that time frame of 10 minutes, my brain was not active. And in that, I developed 2 learning challenges, dysgraphia and dyslexia. Dysgraphia is where you switch around your words. And as you can see, saying that word is pretty difficult for me, dysgraphia. Dysgraphia was told to me that it is the challenge with the English language and being able to pronounce things and process information, right? And here I am getting ready to graduate, and my social worker told me, "Wendy, you're not that smart. It's best that you just have a bunch of babies, have somebody take care of you, and don't go to college. You're not going to make it." And I thought, me not make it? But all of my friends were going. We're going to do all these great things. But something inside me said, don't believe her. See, Les Brown says, you don't believe the opinions of other people. And so I couldn't believe her because my mother said she don't give birth to mistakes, and I am my mother's child, and so I didn't never believe that I was a mistake. And so I went ahead and I applied to college. And out of the 6 colleges I applied to, I got into 1 HBCU and 1 state college. Of course, my mother didn't allow me to go, but that's okay. I got into the state school. And I propelled through those things. And even with my challenges and working with my school counselor and tutor, as I stand here today, my name is Dr. Wendy Talley. And so this is to tell you, you don't believe somebody else's opinion about yourself. Push forward, keep going, be non-negotiable, and be intentional so you can be able to stand in your goals and your dreams. In my journey of becoming an entrepreneur, it has been an uphill battle. I mean, whatever could happen, it actually did happen. See, I walked away from a 6-figure business in a government contracting business. A social worker like me making 6 figures, totally unheard of. But I was doing it because I believed that I could. And so what I learned when I decided to leap and just say, you know what, I'm gonna walk away from this 6-figure business and I'm gonna start my own business, is to not leap so fast. I needed to make sure everything was in place because I needed to make sure my business was going to thrive. But I took that leap of faith and I jumped. And I don't regret it because on the way down and on the way up and down again, I learned so many lessons. And the lessons that I learned is, number 1, I was intentional about having my own mental health group practice, and I was intentional to be a well-known wellness consultant for organizations, big and small. I was determined to be that household and that coffee shop name that you can be able to call on to me and say, Dr. Talley can help us get our company together. And see, I was non-negotiable about my dreams. I didn't let nothing get in my way, not even myself. See, I invested as a consultant. I even invested in coaches. I invested in consultants. I paid the money because I knew that if I can do this and I had the right people behind me, why not? If Serena Williams and Venus Williams can have coaches and they are decorated champions, why not me? And I knew that if I kept the right people in front of me, behind me, on the side of me, I can do all things. And in that journey, I learned to be intentional. I learned to be non-negotiable. Because when I was trying to just breathe, to try to live, coming through my mother's womb, I was non-negotiable and I was intentional about living. And each and every day, I'm intentional. Each and every day, all I think about is achieving my goals and my dreams. But I'm doing it for a very special person in my life. And that's my son. I want him to see that he can do all things when he has Christ in front of him, when he has a strong family behind him, when it's okay to fall forward as long as you get up. That those mistakes are not failures, but those are lessons being learned. I didn't know what I didn't know. But as I began to learn and as I began to grow, I continued to push forward and be successful. If I could go back to that moment at 21 years old before you see Dr. Wendy Talley here, wow. What would that conversation be like? First, I would tell her little butt to sit her hot butt down, okay, and stop all that partying, okay, so that she can be able to make sure she passed all of her classes and not have too much fun and she can make it home safely. That's the first thing. But still enjoy life. Enjoy life to the fullest because, you know what, Wendy? You made it. You made everything possible. See, I would tell her that you passed all of your exams. You didn't have to stay up all night crying. You didn't have to sit up there and tell yourself, you're not smart enough. Your social worker in your high school she was right. You're not going to make it. Even though you did have a 3.0 GPA, even though you were passing all of your classes, you made it. Not only did you make it, but you went to one of the top 5 schools in the nation that accepted you for a master's degree. You'll be the first one in your family to not only have 1 degree, but 2. Wow. Can you imagine? To be able to set the stage for your nieces and your nephews. To say that you can do it because Auntie Wendy's doing it. See, Wendy, you did it. You didn't have to doubt yourself. You didn't have to tell people that you were going to drop out of school. You didn't have to worry about that, if that boy was going to marry you or not. Because everything turned out just right. And that all of the trauma that you went through in college, all of the bad grades and good grades that came through, you graduated. And wow, let me tell you the sweetest thing that even happened right after you got into that master's program. That same school hired you to be a professor to teach their students at the master level. And you taught 4 years at one of the top universities. And then you had the nerve 17 years later, you had the nerve to even think you could get yourself a doctorate degree from the same university. And then you just flourished in your business. You opened up several businesses. You helped people pursue their goals and their dreams. Wendy, you did it. And I'm so proud of you. You got it, girl. Problems, right? Since the COVID, since pandemic, companies are having such a hard time keeping employees because employees, they're realizing they have a voice. Employees, they want to work from home and choose to come into the office. That's what they want. And so we want to be able to come in and say, all right, how can we bridge the gap? How can we get the 5 or 4 generations that are working in the organization be able to speak the same language for this new generation of workforce to come in? How can we improve leaders to be better listeners, to be able to understand their emotions, not be their parents? That's not what we want to do. But we want to make sure that you get your bottom line done, but also treat your employees like humans. And so that is what we're doing. As your corporate wellness expert, we're going to be bringing in training videos on demand that you can be able to have with your employees over and over again. Part of the onboarding process, which is important, because even with retention rates right now pretty low, companies can only keep about 20% of their workforce growing over and over again, right? While the rest is struggling to stay on. So we will come in, make sure you have these training videos that they can be able to go to them and say, how do I solve this problem? What will Dr. Wendy tell me to do to resolve this issue? And guess what? You'll be able to have me to be able to talk to me one-on-one with your executives to ensure that they're leading appropriately. See, organizations that I've worked with in the past really struggled in keeping their employees. They had management pretty much breaking laws, and they couldn't understand why the employees were leaving. You had the CEO untouchable. Nobody even knew his name or her name. You had employees trying to find the resources that they need in order to get their job done. And then on top of that, they were told to work after hours. They were told to work on the weekends. They couldn't even spend time with their families. And mothers and fathers who had young children, how could they help them with their homework and drop them off at school and protect them for their health. And I had to come in there and help them figure it out. And first, we had to bring back the human perspective in leadership. And that is so important because whatever happens at the top always trickle down at the bottom. And that is important for us to realize. If you're going to make changes in your organization, you've got to start at the top because your revenue, your profit, your stakeholders is tied to how you run your business. And I always say to executives, how you run your house is how you run your business. So we have to make sure personally and professionally, you are running a tight ship, but also that tight ship must have a heart. And so that's what we want to do in coming in and ensuring that you are reaching your bottom line and you're doing well in your organizations. Thank you. With all the problems I just talked about and the solutions, why would you want to hire Dr. Wendy Talley and her organization, the Lease Consulting Group? Because our workforce is diverse. Everyone now is working together from different walks of life, cultures, background, ethnicities, nationalities, and languages. So your team must be diverse as well. Your leadership have to be diverse as well. And with the Lease Consulting Group, we are a diverse team. Dr. Wendy Talley is a diverse individual, and each and every person will be able to feel connected. Why? Because they're going to say, hey, my company thought of me. My company thought that it was important for me to have somebody that may look like me, sound like me, and a whole team that can speak my language be able to work with me so that I can be well and be better. Diversity and inclusion is the hot topic, but it's not new. It is definitely something we need to pay more attention to. So hiring us would be the best thing for your team, will be the best thing for your community. It will be the best thing for your product and your services, because now you're just not speaking to a narrow audience, you are speaking to a wider audience. And that is important because, again, your stakeholders are looking at how can we take this not only locally, regionally, nationally, but also globally, because we have to ensure that the faces that we are serving are the same faces that are employed by us. And we can help you do that. So why hire us? We're the best, but also, again, because we can speak your language. This whole experience with Shay Brown and his team have been ultimately amazing. Let me tell you, we have been on a journey. We have been on a journey together where it took me 3 to 4 times to even get here. And trust me, it was nobody's fault but the flight attendants and the pilots coming in on the plane. I had all of my flights just canceled, right? But finally, I get here and I finally meet the team. When I tell you precision, when I tell you organization, when I tell you clarity, oh my God, the team is amazing. They made sure everything was in on time. They kept sending me my reminders. They kept making sure that I was okay. They were making sure that I was okay all the way up to getting here to the location. See, that's what you want in a team. And listen, I could not have done this without them. I just thank them for even the opportunity. But I will say this. Shay has been in my life since 2007. He started this whole career of me speaking and moving into my passion. He was the one that made sure that I got in front of an audience and told my story. And look at me now. I am now doing this amazing making of an entrepreneur with him. And I continue to ride with him and his team for life. I will continue to do it again. Thank you.